The South African women's football team today starts its attempt to qualify for next year's FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. Banyana, who had a poor Women's Africa Cup of Nations, take on record 10-time champions Nigeria in a playoff match. Now, the winner will secure one of two CAF spots in a preliminary round of Inter-Confederation playoffs. For more on this, we are joined by SABC Sport reporter Mpumi Manyisi. Good morning, Mpumi, and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Tabo. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
All right, Mpumi, let's actually speak about this, right? Banyana Banyana in particular. Let's talk about the tournament from start to finish, from the group stages until they were knocked out. How would you assess Banyana Banyana's performance?
As 2022 champions, I feel like it has been a very challenging edition for Banyana Banyana. Obviously, we saw the signs in the last year's edition when they finished off in the semi-finals. It was not easy as well. Same start as this year's one, because we had lost to Tanzania in our first match, and in last edition we drew against Tanzania 1-1. So it was sort of an indicator in terms of where the championship is. And I keep saying this, that women's football has evolved, and this is evident in terms of how Banyana has performed. All the teams, the so-called big teams, the former champions, now kicked out of the championship, which means we now going to have a new winner in this tournament. So their start wasn't good. There's a point where they tried to pick up, but I guess it wasn't good enough. And that's where they find themselves now in the FIFA playoffs, trying to grab a lifeline to also be a part of the 2027 Women's FIFA World Cup.
All right, now, Mpumi, of course, you make a good point when you reference the fact that, of course, a new winner will be crowned. And also, looking at Nigeria in particular, I mean, they're 10-time champions, and they are not even going to be in this particular final. But, when looking at Banyana Banyana in particular, let's talk about what has gone wrong and what can improve in future. Now, I know that there's been a lot of conversation for just the neutral fan based on Coach Des as well, and the conversation around Desiree Ellis as the coach as well. So let's just talk about what, Banyana needs in future to improve, or maybe from Coach Des' side as well. How are we looking at that?
I think I'm not going to speak much regarding the technical team, but I think one thing that we've missed is just sticking to basics. When I spoke to Coach Des coming into this championship, as they were preparing from playing the friendly matches, they played against Japan, they played against a few North African teams as well. What she had emphasized is the fact that the team needs to stick to their style of play. And what we got to witness in a manner in which Banyana had displayed themselves is not the Banyana that we used to, that we know. We saw a different style of play, a lot of aerial balls, which is something that we are not good at, and we know it, and that's because of physicality. When you play against African teams are very physical. So we know our style of play is putting the ball on the ground, and also capitalizing on the type of pace that we have. We've got a lot of quick players that can make sure that we push up front and we score those goals. But we didn't see much of their impact. If you think of Linda Motlalo, who did well in that friendly, in the second friendly against Japan, and literally scored that goal against 3 times Asian Cup winners. We didn't see much of her in this tournament. Thembi Kgatlana also needed support as well, because you see her height, and with someone who has her height, they always need support in terms of someone who's more physical and who's a lot more taller, to make sure that if we do have those aerial balls in the final third, then we have capacity to finish off the goals. So all I can say is what Desiree Ellis needs to do, together with Coach Tina Sonke and the rest of the technical team is just to remind the girls that we have great talent. We've got amazing youngsters. We saw them when they played in the COSAFA Cup. Let's make sure that we integrate them. And we've got the core squad that we won in 2022. And it's just a matter of making sure that the synergy and that the two groups gel well together, but we stick to the type of football that we are known for as South Africans.
You know, Mpumi, I share that sentiment with you, right? And all those improvements that need to take place, especially for future tournaments in particular. But I mean, you know, the good part about this conversation, I guess, is towards the 2027 FIFA World Cup. For many people at first, it almost seems like it was impossible, but we have been given a lifeline, and that lifeline is against a team such as Nigeria, 10-time champions when it comes to the WAFCON tournaments in particular. I mean, it is a big one for Nigeria as well. I mean, I can imagine it's a sense of pride that they are also feeling in the sense of it's against Banyana. You know what I mean? It's this clash in terms of Africa itself between those two particular nations. So how would we look at that and talk about, you know, the lifeline and the qualification that it would need from Banyana to make this particular Inter-Confederation playoff, and also in particular just to make it to the 2027 World Cup in Brazil?
You've just mentioned Nigeria are 10 times champions. That's a very stubborn team, by the way. And they always want to stay at the top and they want to remain dominant. They will come in with that fierce mentality to prove a point against Banyana Banyana. Not only that, it's crunch time to make sure that they book a spot as well into the FIFA World Cup. So it's not going to be an easy match. You know our rivalry, South Africa versus Nigeria. It is extremely fierce, and I'm expecting an entertaining match. I'm expecting a very intense match, but more than anything, I'm also expecting a physical game, because it's going to be we're going to see emotions all over, because these are two former champions who did not show up as a lot of people had expected for them to show up. So they have a lot to prove against each other, and they have a lot to prove to their fans. They have a lot to prove to people that follow African women's football as well.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us on Morning Live. And Mpumi, of course, Mpumi Manyisi, who is, of course, an SABC Sport reporter, just letting us all that has to take place tonight between Banyana Banyana and Nigeria.